What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this, we have the why the UK might be the most important military power. And that statement in itself is kind of like shocking to me. Because don't get it twisted. I know of the UK's history. I know England's history. I know the British Empire. The sun never set on it because it was just so vast and so large. And I know that military strength. And I know the SAS, who a lot of people see as the most elite special units forces in the world. I know about all of that. But when I think about like military powers, I guess first you always tend to think of the US, think of China, think of Russia, think of these giant militaries with it seems like unlimited resources in a sense. But UK being the most important, this title intrigues me. So before we jump in, if you happen to enjoy, don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and let's get right to it.
When you think of global military powerhouses, the usual suspects pop up: the United States, China, Russia. But here's a question.
Exactly.
What if the real MVP of 2025 is the United Kingdom?
That's crazy.
Yes, the same country famous for tea, James Bond, and complaining about the weather is quietly becoming one of the most formidable military forces on Earth. While many are distracted by flashy displays from larger nations, Britain has been methodically sharpening its sword. It might not shout the loudest, but its influence is undeniable. And if military power were a game of chess, the UK just might be several moves ahead, quietly positioning its pieces across every board on the globe. So while the world's focused on superpowers throwing shade, Britain's been busy loading the magazine. Let's break down why the UK might just be the most important military power in 2025, and why you should pay attention before the Royal Navy parks a destroyer outside your front porch. Spoiler alert, it won't be delivering tea. In 2025, the
It won't be delivered. I like that.
UK is ranked among the top 6 military powers globally.
Let me see. Wait, who's that?
25, the UK.
So you got US, you got Russia, you got China, you got the UK. I think is that's not Pakistan. No way, that's Pakistan. And that looks like the Ukraine. I think India should be at number 4 on this list, and that would drop the UK down to number 5. Either or India at number 5, but there's no way India is not in the top 5 militaries in the world.
UK is ranked among the top 6 military powers globally. Not bad for a nation that hasn't had an empire since Netflix still mailed DVDs. But make no mistake, Britain isn't riding nostalgia. It's investing big, real big. With one of NATO's largest defense budgets, the UK is shifting into high gear. By 2027, it aims to raise defense spending to 2.5% of GDP, and that's just the start. The long-term ambition? A 3% threshold that would mark the largest military investment increase since Margaret Thatcher debated whether to upgrade Trident or just scare the Soviets with her stare. Over £15 billion is being pumped into nuclear modernization, cybersecurity, and bleeding-edge tech. We're talking hypersonic missiles, quantum encryption, and AI battle networks that make Terminator look like a dial-up connection. The 2025 Strategic Defense Review reads more like a Marvel origin story than a budget paper. The UK isn't trying to match future threats. It's trying to beat them to the punch, uppercut included. Beyond raw numbers, the UK's spending is strategic. Rather than simply expanding traditional forces, the money is going toward capabilities that multiply force, enhance resilience, and future-proof Britain against hybrid warfare.
I love that in a sense of I don't think more soldiers are the key to the future of warfare, right? I don't think the more numerous your military is, the stronger. But I think the technology and the resources that you have to fight with are going to be the determining factor, because at a certain point it feels like wars are going to be fought from behind computer screens and technology is going to be doing everything. And so it feels like that's where it's kind of going. So I like that plan from the UK.
It's not just about boots on the ground anymore. It's about brains behind the screen. Let's talk nukes. Because nothing says don't mess with us quite like a few warheads silently patrolling beneath the ocean. The UK remains one of only 2 European nations with a nuclear arsenal, alongside France. But this isn't about clinging to relics from the Cold War. Britain is updating its deterrent with the Astrea A-21 thermonuclear warhead, a device so advanced it makes past warheads look like fireworks at a village fete. These are being deployed aboard the Dreadnought-class submarines, a fleet of stealthy giants built to ensure the UK's second strike capability is always intact. They operate under the principle that while peace is preferred, deterrence must be ready to bite. On the attack subfront, Britain is teaming up with the US and Australia to develop and build up to 12 SSN-AUKUS nuclear-powered submarines. These aren't your average undersea vessels. They're the military equivalent of sharks with laser beams. Designed to stalk oceans with unrivaled stealth and speed, they will serve as a silent but lethal shield, ensuring control over vital maritime choke points. Together, these platforms make the UK a nuclear backbone not just for itself, but for the broader Western alliance. NATO doesn't just rely on British hardware. It relies on Britain's willingness to use it if the need arises. NATO first. That's not just a slogan, it's a British doctrine etched into the Ministry of Defense playbook. From leading NATO's Very High Readiness Joint Task Force to commanding battle groups in Estonia, Britain is the alliance's trusted enforcer in Eastern Europe. But don't be fooled.
I feel like in Europe, all over Europe, UK, when you talk about military, UK's got to be at the forefront. Not in the sense of the biggest military or maybe the most spending, but just in the sense of the experience and the history of the UK, like that is absolutely invaluable. And so having them like training maybe other countries in Europe, the soldiers, having them leading, I feel like that you're always going to have an incredible leader just based off experience, based off history. I mean, like I said, once upon a time, had a freaking empire where the sun never set because it was so big. So they're always going to be important in the world.
Pulled into thinking Britain's alliances end with NATO. The Five Eyes intelligence network, a collaboration with the US, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, means London is at the heart of global information.
Is India not in the phone? There was only named 4, right? Five Eyes, there's one more. I know India's in the Quad, maybe.
US, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada means London is at the heart of global information sharing. It's the MI6 of multinational coordination. Strong defense and trade relationships with Gulf states, Japan, and the Commonwealth countries further solidify the UK's role as a global connector. While others talk about strategic depth, Britain just flies there, signs a deal, and leaves behind a couple of typhoons. Post-Brexit, many predicted the UK's influence would wane. Instead, it's gone on a diplomatic world tour, with a side of military exercises. The UK's Rolodex isn't just intact, it's grown teeth. Gone are the days when armies were measured by rows of tanks and how many soldiers could march in a straight line. The UK's military modernization is turning its forces into a force multiplier. The 2025 reform package is an all-in bet on 21st century warfare. Artificial intelligence is being embedded across command systems. Swarms of drones are now a staple of operational planning. Data fusion across land, sea, air, cyber, and space is the new standard. At the heart of the transformation is the British Army. Once mocked for having more generals than tanks, it's now being redesigned to be leaner, faster, and far more lethal. The 2040-40 drone model is reshaping the battlefield. 20% crude.
Nah, y'all about to come out with Ultron in it. The UK about to come out with Ultron in here. They're about to flood the battlefield with these machines. They not playing no games. Nah, this is cool though. I mean, it's scary to see the technology that countries are going to be fighting with in the future and to think of it. But it's kind of cool just to see how far humanity has come. Like that's
40% autonomous and reusable, and 40% expendable swarms. It's like Pokemon, but with explosive payloads. Always-on munitions and rapid launch strike systems are being deployed to reduce reaction time from hours to minutes. Integrated missile defense systems are being deployed with NATO partners to create a European Iron Dome. And let's not forget space. The UK Space Command isn't just a vanity project. It's part of Britain's plan to monitor threats, coordinate missile defense, and, if needed, bring the fight above the clouds. Yes, Britain is literally aiming for the stars. If the British Army is the brains and the Navy is the backbone, the Royal Air Force is the rapid strike hammer. The RAF is expanding its fleet of fifth-generation F-35s, operating both the A and B variants. That dual capability offers something few nations have: flexible nuclear strike and carrier-based projection rolled into one. These jets don't just fly, they dominate. But it's not all about now. The Global Combat Air Program, developed in partnership with Japan and Italy, aims to field a sixth-generation fighter by the mid-2030s. These stealthy marvels will operate in sync with unmanned wingmen, leveraging AI to overwhelm enemies long before radar even picks them up. This project isn't just military development, it's a technological moonshot.
Do y'all think, I'm sorry for interrupting the video, but do y'all think, because like I said, that's the way the world's going, and you see all these movies with AI like taking over, do y'all think like that'll actually happen? That we'll get so dependent on AI, and AI will start to take over, and at a certain point come to the conclusion that they don't need the US? I mean, not the US, but they don't need humans. That could be a possibility in the future.
Engines, networking, and electronic warfare systems will all be state-of-the-art. Think F-35 meets Iron Man with a British accent. And with forward bases in Cyprus, the Falklands, Oman, and Brunei, the RAF can reach anywhere it needs to, fast. If air power is the future of deterrence, then the UK is building the future now. We live in an era where battles can begin with a mouse click. And here, the UK is a silent superpower. Ranked as a top global cyber actor, the UK has capabilities ranging from shutting down hostile networks to preemptively neutralizing threats through cyber strikes. It's not just about defense. The UK can and will go on the offensive when needed. The National Cyber Force, a blend of military and intelligence experts, operates with a mandate that's more mission impossible than IT support. In an age of hybrid warfare, this unit is arguably just as important as any armored battalion. Then there's soft power. British culture, media, and global institutions extend influence in ways tanks never could. Whether it's Shakespeare, Premier League football, or the BBC, the UK's brand carries clout. It turns military partnerships into alliances of values, not just convenience. So, when the UK deploys forces abroad, it often does so with a halo of legitimacy. Military hard power, cyber capabilities, and soft power form a trident of influence few can match. For all the high-tech systems, long-range missiles, and cybernetic dreams, there's one advantage that no AI can replicate: experience. The UK has it in spades.
And that's exactly what that experience, bro. Experience is everything. It's so important. It's so important. And then when you look at the alliances that the UK is a part of, to just have their experience and them train these other countries, bro, with maybe bigger armies or bigger budgets, to have that experience training them, leading them.
British troops haven't been stuck in barracks polishing boots. They've been out in the field, under fire, under pressure, and delivering results. That gritty, boots-on-the-ground operational maturity can't be bought, borrowed, or faked. It's earned, campaign by campaign, decade after decade, from the scorching deserts of the Gulf War to peacekeeping in Bosnia and Kosovo, from urban warfare in Iraq to mountain ambushes in Afghanistan, and from surgical strikes in Libya to training and equipping forces in Ukraine. The UK has maintained a consistent, hands-on role in global military operations. They've fought wars with allies and gone it alone when necessary. That operational diversity makes them more than capable. It makes them seasoned. And unlike some nations who fight a war once every generation, the UK's military learns, adapts, and evolves from each deployment. And while some militaries tout firepower on paper, the UK has tested it under real conditions. Doctrine isn't drawn up in a lab. It's drawn from the blood, sweat, and mud of battlefields. This means British officers don't just write strategy, they live it. Their logistical skills, coalition coordination, and rapid deployment capabilities are built on decades of trial and error, not PowerPoint slides. That hard-earned battlefield intelligence gets baked into every next operation. NATO understands this. That's why the UK is often handed leadership roles in joint missions,
That makes
from
sense.
commanding rapid response task forces to running training programs for partner nations. British personnel are the glue holding multinational operations together. Their command presence isn't a courtesy title.
But like again, with that kind of experience, yeah, who else would you want put in charge of the operation? Like, they have the leadership experience needed to train all these other countries.
It's a necessity. It's what makes coalition partners breathe easier when British flags are flying next to theirs. The war in Ukraine proves this. While many nations were calculating risk, the UK acted. It was one of the first to supply lethal aid, including NLAWs, long-range artillery, and advanced air defense systems. Even more boldly, it authorized Ukraine to use UK-supplied missiles against Russian targets inside Russia itself. That's not just backing an ally. That's reshaping battlefield diplomacy and defining what modern military support really means. The UK's credibility doesn't come from its economy or population size. It's born from a reputation of showing up when it counts and staying when others retreat. Few other militaries can claim that consistency. A shiny arsenal is only half the battle. When crisis hits, readiness is what counts. And here too, the UK is making major moves. In 2025, Britain is rolling out its most transformative model of defense, the whole-of-society approach. And that isn't just buzzword bingo. It's a complete reimagining of what national defense looks like in a hyper-connected, tech-saturated world. This model doesn't just rely on uniformed troops. It integrates the private sector, cyber experts, emergency services, logistics networks, academic institutions, and the wider public into the defense matrix. Everyone has a role. Even your neighbor with a drone hobby might end up helping defend the realm. This isn't fantasy. It's contingency planning, version 2.0. The upcoming Defense Readiness Bill formalizes this shift. It allows for faster mobilization of reserves, mandates civilian sector cooperation during national emergencies, and even provides training pathways for industries critical to national security. In other words, if Britain ever faces a major threat, the entire nation becomes a highly organized, digitally connected porcupine. Spiky from every angle. Cybersecurity firms, logistics companies, telecommunications engineers, and even agriculture networks would plug into defense protocols like parts of a well-oiled war machine. Years of troop cuts are now giving way to a focus on smarter, deadlier units. The Royal Marines' Future Commando Force is optimized for lightning raids, amphibious assaults, and covert insertion. Airborne brigades can now deploy anywhere in the world in 48 hours. Logistics chains are being overhauled for high-tempo, tech-enabled warfare. And new strategic reserves mean the UK can not only react fast, but sustain operations well beyond initial engagements. Training
the UK is going to be a problem. This military is going to be a problem for its enemies. And I'm just glad as U.S. citizen, we are not one of the enemies. I'm glad we are a partner, an ally, a friend.
Is going digital too. VR-based simulations, AI-assisted wargaming, and data-driven readiness assessments mean forces can prepare for real-world contingencies without ever firing a live round. And when they do deploy, expect drone escorts, satellite recon, encrypted battlefield comms, and cyber overwatch embedded into every operation. It's like traditional warfare got a PhD in computer science. This isn't just about preparing for war, it's about making Britain uninvadable, unpredictable, and unrelenting. Resilience isn't a last resort, it's the first line of defense, and in the UK, it's becoming a national habit. Military power isn't just about who has the most toys, it's about where those toys are parked. And in the UK's case, the map is full of red pins. From the South Atlantic to the Middle East to Southeast Asia, British forces maintain a global footprint that most countries twice its size can only dream of. Permanent deployments in Cyprus, Bahrain, Brunei, Kenya, Gibraltar, and the Falklands serve as regional hubs for operations, logistics, and deterrence. These are not colonial holdovers. They're chess pieces in a grand strategy of global influence and quick reaction capability. In Europe, the UK maintains forward-deployed forces in Estonia and Poland as part of NATO's enhanced forward presence. These aren't just symbolic troops. They're fully equipped, combat-ready units positioned to respond instantly to aggression. In the Indo-Pacific, The UK has joined security initiatives with Japan, Australia, and India, reinforcing its global Britain ambitions. Add frequent joint exercises with the US, and you've got a force that can shift hemispheres on a moment's notice. The Carrier Strike Group, anchored by HMS Queen Elizabeth and HMS Prince of Wales, adds a flexible and mobile dimension to UK military reach. These floating fortresses allow the UK to launch fighter jets, conduct amphibious landings, and coordinate multinational operations, all while sipping tea on the bridge. The 2021 Indo-Pacific voyage of HMS Queen Elizabeth was not a one-off stunt. It was a statement of presence and partnership. Major joint exercises like Aurora, Cold Response, and Saif Saria prove that the UK can operate seamlessly in sub-zero Arctic conditions, sun-scorched deserts, or open ocean battle zones. Adaptability is baked into British doctrine.
Yeah.
You could drop a British battle group in a jungle,
Yeah.
a desert, or a tundra, and they'd still have time to brew a proper cup of tea before engaging.
That's what I always am so fascinated by when it comes to the British, is their adaptability, their ability just on the drop of a dime to completely change their strategy and to be able to communicate that with everybody so freaking quickly. Yeah, that adaptability is it's unmatched. It's unmatched.
Engaging the enemy, and that cup of tea would probably be classified. Let's not overlook the soft deployments either. The British Army Training Unit in Kenya, Batuk, has trained thousands of Allied troops, while RAF detachments patrol the skies over the Baltics and Mediterranean. Meanwhile, Special Forces, SAS and SBS, remain quietly deployed in multiple undisclosed regions, doing what they do best, getting the job done while leaving no trace. These elite units are not just legendary, they're evolving to be even more versatile, integrating cyber and drone operations into traditional sabotage and reconnaissance missions. The UK's global presence isn't about empire. It's about deterrence, agility, and persistent influence. It's about always having a hand near the lever when events unfold. In the chaos of 21st century geopolitics, where Twitter wars often overshadow real wars, it's easy to miss what's happening behind the scenes. But make no mistake, the UK has been quietly building a military machine designed for the future and ready for today. It possesses what few countries can combine: a nuclear deterrent, global presence, elite combat experience, cyber warfare dominance, and soft power reach. It can strike anywhere, respond rapidly, and lead decisively. And with its defense spending on the rise and its forces undergoing radical modernization, Britain is no longer playing catch-up, it's setting the pace. Other NATO members look to it not just as a partner, but as an example. Yes, it's no longer the colonial superpower that ruled the waves, but the modern UK doesn't need to rule waves. It shapes currents, whether it's providing crucial support to Ukraine, patrolling Pacific trade routes, deterring Russian aggression in the Baltics, or leading innovation in drone warfare. Britain punches far above its weight class. It's a leaner, meaner, smarter force, an apex strategist in a world of brawlers. It's a strategic ally, a reliable
An apex strategist in the world of brawlers. And that is what I was going to say, kind of what the UK military, you have that sense of precise adaptability, strategic, organized. The US military, from videos I watched in the past of enemies, it's like just a force, a never ending force with unlimited resources. It's kind of how they explain it.
partner, and, if you're on the wrong side of it, a nightmare with a charming accent. It doesn't need to shout, it just arrives, often first, usually prepared, always determined. So is the UK the most important military power of 2025? Maybe not the largest, maybe not the flashiest, but it might be the most complete. And when the next global crisis erupts, don't be surprised if it's the British who arrive first, act fastest, and get the job done with minimal fuss and maximum precision. Because at the end of the day, they didn't modernize their military just to show off. They did it to win.
This should be intriguing as we see how militaries continuously adapt, evolve, shape the future. Fighting adapts, evolves. That's all we have. If you guys enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, check out the next, and I'll see y'all next.